Alright, man, welcome back to another reaction. Today we got the Titan submersible disaster. So now, if you've been on the internet at all in the past week, then you probably heard of this. If you haven't, man, the Titan submersible essentially is a submarine that people will pay. It's a very, very small submarine that people would pay $250,000, and it would take them down to go see the wreckage of the Titanic. Now, if you don't know anything about the wreckage of the Titanic, it is very deep in the ocean, alright? And very, very hard to get to. And this video is essentially going to be breaking down this entire disaster. I'm pretty excited for this one, man. So let's not waste any time. Just get right into this one. Plus, it's Morbid Midnight too. Like, come on, we love Morbid Midnight around here.
The sinking of the RMS Titanic is perhaps the most well-known shipwreck of modern times, and is one of the deadliest shipwrecks in history.
It is the most.
As over 1,500 people lost their lives.
Not the deadliest, but it is definitely the most well-known shipwreck of all time. I mean, come on.
Is one of the deadliest shipwrecks in history, as over 1,500 people lost their lives on the evening of April 14th and early morning hours of April 15th, 1912, when the unsinkable ship struck a large iceberg in the northern Atlantic Ocean in international waters, approximately 400 miles offshore of the coast of Newfoundland. The iceberg strike ruptured the ship's hull and caused the Titanic to list for several hours as it sank into the deep, freezing waters below. The tragic fate of the Titanic and the many souls aboard the vessel have been extensively documented in various media throughout the years. And
just saying, if you haven't watched this movie, go watch the fucking Titanic, bro. What are you doing if you haven't watched this movie? Like, you're just throwing. Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet, bro. Come on. Holy shit, bro. The fucking... Whoo! This movie's so good. Go watch this if you haven't already.
And director
You're missing out.
And deep-sea enthusiast James Cameron's 1997 film about the sinking, Titanic, was so popular, it became the first film to gross over $1 billion during its initial run in theaters.
Wow, I did not know that.
Due to the manner that the ship had sunk, experts speculated that the hull of the ship was likely still in one piece. However, despite the location of the sinking being well documented since the night of the horrific incident, this speculation would remain just that for over 50 years following its sinking, as the vessel would ultimately come to rest deep within an underwater canyon on the seafloor, approximately 12,000 feet below the water's surface.
That's so deep,
Due to the wreckage resting at such great depths, the water pressure at this depth is nearly 6,500 pounds per square inch, which makes reaching the wreckage a complicated and potentially dangerous affair.
Extremely complicated, extremely dangerous. Let's not say potentially. It's extreme.
The wreckage was finally reached and rediscovered on September 1st, 1985, where it was confirmed to have in actuality split in two near the surface, as the two main segments of the separated hull rest a little over a half a kilometer from each other.
2,000
These main segments
feet? Holy
of the Titanic's hull are surrounded by a debris field approximately 5 miles by 3 miles wide, which contains smaller fragments of the ship that were flung from the vessel as the segments of its hull plummeted towards the surrounding seabed. The objects scattered across the debris field range from smaller fragments of the ship's structure to various pieces of furniture from within the ship's interior. In the years following its discovery, the wreckage of the Titanic has been visited numerous times by researchers and historians, and more recently, tourists as well, as accessing the site
this is where it starts to get dicey.
Has become significantly easier over the years, as submersible technology has continued to improve in the years following the wreckage's discovery in 1985. However, much like another Atlantic shipwreck I've covered on my channel previously, the Andrea Doria,
I haven't watched that one.
The RMS Titanic,
I might have to go back and watch that one. I didn't watch that one.
Titanic has begun to deteriorate and collapse as time has passed, and this process has even been accelerated further due to being struck by submersibles visiting the site, most notably in 2019, where a research submersible...
You smacked into the Titanic, you fucking bozo?
That was filming for an upcoming documentary.
Dude, what the hell?
People on board collided with part of the hull's wreckage, which left a rusty gash across the sub's hull. The operators of this submersible reported that the collision with the wreckage was largely due to the notoriously strong Atlantic currents pushing the sub into the wreckage. On Sunday, June 18th, 2023, a
Here we go.
22-foot tourist submersible owned and designed by Ocean Gate Expeditions named Titan was loaded with the 5 passengers that would be journeying to the Titanic's wreckage within it for the day's expedition. Passage aboard the Titan was not cheap and was priced at a staggering $250,000 per person for...
I actually watched a video on this, and if you want to watch a video that breaks down this a little bit a little bit more into detail, I'll make sure to put that into the description. But the guy who talked about it, actually the price for a ticket should have been much steeper. It should have been around he said it should have been around like $1.5 million each, so that, because when you do these, the pressure for each time you go down, right, the overall integrity of the thing gets completely, like, it gets like fucked up a little bit, right? So you can only run these things in the bottom like 3 times max, and before you have to completely break it down and build essentially a brand new one to go do and replace all the things on it. So that's why the guy was saying ticket prices actually should have been like 1.5 mil per person, so that when you're done with the whole thing, you can actually remake a brand new one and keep it going and keep building them. Because you weren't supposed to be able to take this one that went down, that wound up blowing up. It was like on its like fourth or it was like third, fourth, or fifth attempt excursion going down into the deep depths, and that's, I mean, you're only supposed to do that like once or twice, man.
Passage to see the wreckage.
Every time you go down, like the submarine is strongest on its first attempt going down, right? Every other attempt after that completely diminishes and weakens the overall structural integrity of the submarine and the vessel.
Amongst the 5 men aboard the sub that day were the father and son duo, 48-year-old Shahzada Dawood and 19-year-old Suleiman Dawood, British residents and relatives of one of the wealthiest families in their native Pakistan, and the pair were the only people aboard the Titan without any previous deep-sea submersible diving experience. However, this would be far from the case for another of the sub's passengers, a 77-year-old Frenchman named Paul-Henri Nargillet, who had made at least 35 previous submersible trips to the wreckage and was responsible for the recovery of several iconic relics from the ship over the course of his many dives to the site. Also aboard the submersible was a 58-year-old British man named Hamish Harding, who notably had visited outer space the previous June in 2022.
What? You went to outer space?
One of billionaire Jeff Bezos's.
You know what's actually wild? Is going to outer space is actually fucking so much easier than going to the bottom of the ocean. And that's just because of the pressure of the water. The amount of pressure at the bottom of the ocean is such an immense task to deal with
Blue Origin
that it's literally easier to go into outer space than the bottom of the ocean. It's fucking wild.
Tourist rockets, and also notably held the world record for the longest period of time spent in the deepest part of the ocean aboard a submersible to his name as well. Rounding out the crew aboard the Titan that day was the founder and CEO of Ocean Gate, the operators of the submersible, a 61-year-old man named Stockton Rush, who would be the operator of the submersible for the trip. The Titan itself was a unique submersible, as it was the only 5-passenger submersible that was capable of reaching depths of up to 13,000.
So, you know, they operated the motherfucking thing with a controller, with like a PlayStation 2 controller, bruh.
Feet in the
like,
entire
holy
world.
fuck.
The
Or
sub
Sega Genesis controller, whatever the fuck it was.
Stockton from inside the vessel with a modified video game controller, specifically a Logitech F710 wireless PC controller.
Never mind.
As was shown off in
Logitech,
previous
holy
photos
shit, look at
that had
that.
been posted online by Stockton Rush.
Look at this shitty ass plastic controller, bro. You think you'd at least use like a PS5 controller or something new that's fucking actually good.
While
like,
this method of control might seem unusual to many, video game controllers are used for a variety of applications, one of which being as a means of controlling vehicles, as Xbox controllers are used aboard U.S. Navy submarines to control photonic masts, as they offer a compact control solution that has replaced the larger, clunkier controllers that had been used previously, with similar or even better functionality, although they aren't used to actually steer the submarines.
Well,
The
I
Titan
mean,
was
no
equipped with
shit.
4 electric
Come
propulsion
on.
thrusters that could reach
If you think the submarine's actually gonna be driven and steered with a small little fucking controller, you're an idiot. Like,
a speed
let's be
of up to
real.
3 knots, and a window on one of the sub's caps for viewing the exterior, and was also equipped with several safety systems.
This window, also, this window, it was not, it was not up to, like, it was only built to withstand, like, essentially half the amount of depth that they were supposed to go down. So this window, even if they did go down all the way bottom, would have fucking busted at the amount of pressure that was there. So it's just, like, fucking, the guy who owns this and ran this company was essentially very negligent and a complete fucking idiot.
Including detachable ballasts, a balloon for ascension.
There's a lot more to it, obviously, but that's like a general breakdown. Negligent and bozo.
Sandbags that were attached to the craft that were held in place by a material that would dissolve after a number of hours submerged in the water, which would cause the sub to rise, and 96 hours worth of life support available on board for the 5 passengers in case of emergencies. Also notably, some of these safety systems were designed to engage even without input from the crew aboard, such as the sandbags, in case they should fall
This was the thing.
unconscious.
Never mind. It wasn't this window. We were looking at the wrong thing. It was this small little window.
A voyage. The Titan was not equipped with any navigation equipment on board, however, as the submersible was instead guided to the site of the Titanic's wreckage by a support ship on the surface, the Polar Prince, who tracked the Titan's location in relativity to the Titanic's wreckage and texted directions to the Titan to follow in order to reach it. Furthermore, the Titan was also fitted with systems that monitored the hull's structural integrity, a necessity for the vessel, as repeated exposure to the extreme pressures of the deep sea environment affects a sub's structural integrity with each dive. And
it's exactly what I was talking about earlier. This thing is not, it's not supposed to be ran 4 or 5 times. It's supposed to be ran once, twice, maybe 3 times, completely broken down and rebuilt.
The Titan had completed 13 dives to the Titan.
What? Oh my god, bro. Oh, dude, what the fuck are we talking about? 13? Are you shitting me, bro? Are you fucking kidding me? 13 dives? Holy fuck. There's no way. That's pure negligence. That's insane.
With each dive, and the Titan had completed 13 dives to the Titanic over the course of 2021 and 2022. On Sunday, June 18th, 2023, after launching the Titan from aboard the support ship.
By the way, one thing that's really weird about this too, I know this video is pretty long for just a short little one, but they didn't have no tracking on this thing, which is just mind-boggling to me. How the fuck do you not just put a tracker on the inside? Like, that's just, and this is like an issue that, like, on one of their excursions like a year ago, whatever the fuck, they got lost for, like, they lost communications and couldn't communicate and couldn't find the sub for like a couple hours. It was like 2-3 hours, something like that, like 2 to 5 hours, whatever the fuck it was. But they lost communications with the sub for a good while. You'd think after that situation you would instantly put in a tracker, communications, all these things, so that you can actually be able to fucking talk to the people on the outside. Like, what the fuck? That's just negligence, man.
The submersible began to descend towards the wreckage of the Titanic, approximately 1 hour and 45 minutes into their 2-hour descent to the wreckage site, after receiving a transmission from the Titan at 11:15 a.m. The Polar Prince lost track of the whereabouts of the Titan. However, due to the submersible's unconventional navigation system, this disappearance did not immediately raise a great deal of concern from aboard the support ship. As the previous year, the Titan had lost contact with the Polar Prince for
dude,
2.5 hours on one voyage.
that's exactly what I'm talking about.
However,
That's fucking horrifying. And then they just luckily happened to find them. Luck off the just it's literally just pure luck, bro. Oh my god, this whole situation just bothers me, man. It's really just pure negligence by a millionaire bozo.
after the Titan sent no further navigation pings to the Polar Prince, the Titan further failed to resurface at its expected return time at 4:30 p.m., and at 7:10 p.m. that evening, the Titan was reported as missing to the U.S. Coast Guard by the Polar Prince. A search for the missing submersible was then launched immediately, and officials were optimistic that with 96 hours of life support available to the crew aboard the Titan, that if they were able to locate the sub quickly, the passengers could potentially be rescued with their lives intact. An extensive search of the seabed and the frigid Atlantic waters surrounding the Titanic wreckage was undertaken. However, search teams were unable to locate the craft on Monday, June 19th, a trend that would continue over the following 2 days, Tuesday, June 20th, and Wednesday, June 21st. By Thursday, June 22nd, the search for the missing sub grew increasingly desperate, as the 96 hours afforded to the Coast Guard to locate the craft.
Bro, this whole story, while they were searching for him too, it went super fucking viral, man. Like, super viral. Everyone was fucking talking about the Titan sub. So crazy.
And public concern for those aboard began to rapidly mount, as the public waited with bated breath to see whether the fate of the missing submersible would result in a miraculous rescue or tragedy. As the hours of the 22nd passed by, hope for the former outcome began to quickly diminish, and in the early afternoon of June 22nd at 1:18 p.m., the U.S. Coast Guard announced that it had located a debris field of fragmented remains that had indeed belonged to the Titan. The scattered debris field and the condition of the located pieces of the sub suggested that it had been destroyed in an implosion during its descent, as a result of its structure violently folding inward, caving in on itself, and instantly killing all 5 men aboard over the course of less than a second.
Yeah, so, just to kind of show the amount of power, just to kind of show what happened, this is essentially what happened, alright? Now, this is one, I can't remember the exact measurement, but this is one of those, alright? The implosion on the Titan submersible was, it was either several hundred or several thousand of these, alright? So this is just one, alright? Just watch what happens here. Just wait. Yeah, so, yeah, this is one. Whatever unit of measurement, that's one, alright? And what happened to the submarine was that at a several hundred to a several thousand. Fucking insane.
Later that day, the U.S. Navy publicly confirmed that they had detected an underwater implosion or explosion in the approximate vicinity of the discovered debris field on Sunday, June 18th, and had passed this information along to the U.S. Coast Guard upon learning of the ongoing search. Due to the recent nature of the tragic implosion, as of the time of making this video, official investigations are still ongoing. However, the likely cause of the implosion was simply due to a weakening of the vessel's structural integrity from repeated exposures to the high pressures of deep waters, and it suffered documented structural weaknesses in the years previously. The Titan was rebuilt in 2018 after its structure had deteriorated to the point where it could only withstand underwater pressures at less than 10,000 feet of depth. However, following the rebuild, it was again re-rated to withstand depths of up to 13,000 feet.
Yeah, but like, another thing that the guy pointed out, the video, I'll make sure to link the video in the bottom, that he's an actual engineer that kind of breaks all this thing down. Another thing that the guy pointed out, though, is rated by who? Who rated it? who looked at it and said, you know what? Oh yeah, it's fine. Because like the real way to figure out if something's okay and if something's good, right, is to literally cut it in half, look at it and be like, oh yeah, it was good, and but now it's cut in half, right? So now it's broken. So that's literally the only way. Other than that, they do like some sort of fucking, I can't remember what it's called. The engineer will break it out. If you want to learn how the fuck they test it, go watch the video. It's fucking crazy. Yeah, but essentially rated by who? Who decided? Who looked at it and said, yeah, it's good. Like,
It is likely that
that's
due
the
to
big
the
question.
repeated usage of the sub over the previous years, in combination with the carbon fiber build of the pressure capsule, a material that loses strength under pressure, the hull of the sub could not withstand the deep sea pressure, which caused the structure to fail and rapidly implode. In wake of the news of the implosion,
Man.
several former passengers described many of the components as clearly homemade, as the ballasts were built using PVC piping, and the lights on the craft were acquired from a Camping World retail store. And of course, there was the $30 modified Logitech controller
Jesus
used
fucking
to steer
Christ.
the vessel. Due to the wreckage of the Titanic being located in international waters, the vessel was not subject to any regulation from the US or Canadian Coast Guard.
Wow, and that's what makes it
exactly
horrifying.
happened during that split second during the men's descent will likely remain unknown. But if there is any significant revelations about this incident in the future, I will keep you all posted. So, if you haven't subscribed...
Wow. Okay, well that was a good fucking video. Shout out to Morbid Midnight for always breaking it down, always putting a good ass fucking video. I'll make sure to put that other one of the engineer, kind of breaking down the whole situation in the motherfucking whatever below. Wow, holy shit. Well, that was insane. Yeah, don't go try to see the Titanic in a submersible, chat. That's kind of rule number one. Also, hey yo, make sure to go subscribe to Morbid Midnight if you haven't already, man, for this absolutely fucking amazing banger, man. Goddamn. Hey yo, if you liked the video, subscribe if you're new, and I'll catch you next time, man. Deuces.